This episode is brought to you by Disney. This Thanksgiving, Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde are back on the big screen. So grab your family and friends as Disney invites you to return to Zootopia for the phenomenal movie event of the holiday season. See all your favorite Zootopia characters plus new favorites in the most pawsome movie of the year. Don't miss Disney Zootopia 2 when it hits theaters everywhere November 26th. Get your tickets now.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kan du norsk?
If you used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world, with lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers. Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Spotify. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Hey, where you been? Buckeye Talk is about to begin. Hey, come on in.
Welcome back to Buckeye Talk. I'm Stephen Means, that's Stefan Krajisnik, and that is Andrew Gillis, and this is your official game preview pod for Ohio State's second to last home game of the 2025 regular season. We now have to say that, regular season, because you never know what might happen, and all of a sudden, it's December 19th or whatnot, and it's 7 degrees outside, and Ohio State's playing a home game. And then they go on and win a national championship. So maybe that is the route to take, but who knows? Ohio State, UCLA on Saturday. Ohio State is a 31.5 point favorite. I don't know if that's the largest spread of the Big Ten season, but it's close, right? It's at least in the ballpark with like Purdue and I'm trying to think who. Well, Wisconsin probably was probably in the 30s as well. I don't remember these things off of the top of my head. So we're in another week of Ohio State's going to win this game. How are they going to do it? But also, what can the team that they're playing at least challenge that will allow Ohio State to work on some things? But first, here's the thing I want to ask both of you. Andrew, I want to start with you, actually. How do you think Ohio State is going to approach this game? Are they going to approach it the way they approached Purdue, Washington, Ohio, where there was like an element of like tinkering in the first half to it, where you can actively see them working through things on the field, almost to the point that it feels like they're going through a live scrimmage, versus what they did against Minnesota, Wisconsin, Penn State, where like they came out from the get-go and were full throttle. They just put the pedal to the metal as long as they possibly could. Which way do you think they're going to approach this game?
Well, I think they've kind of done that a lot. Like even against Wisconsin, they were rotating. It was like 14-0 or 17-0, and like they had guys just coming in and out because I think they knew. So like they've had an element of this all year. So I think it's truly gonna be. It depends, and it depends on the position. Like I think there's gonna be spots of this offense where they say, like in terms of overall play calling, I think they're gonna say, all right, we're going to keep with what we've been doing. We're going to play slower. We're going to focus on our run game. We're going to try to run the ball. We're going to mix in pass game. But I think in terms of like player rotation, like I think they're going to treat right guard like it's the Michigan game, like it's the Penn State game, like it's the Texas game, because you got to figure that out. And I think receiver, I don't think we got an answer from Ryan Day on Wednesday about
I don't think Carnell Tate's playing on Saturday.
Yeah, like if Carnell's not going to play, then all right, let's see what Bryson Rogers has. Let's see what Mylan Graham has. Let's see what Quincy Porter has. So I think there's certain positions where they're going to be looking to get answers. Maybe that's at running back, and you try to rep that and try to kind of further solidify and get those young guys continuing to grow and continuing to develop at right guard. But I also think this is going to be kind of more of the same stylistically and schematically than what we've seen these last couple of weeks, where they try a bunch of different stuff. Different guys are seeing the field at different spots, and they understand, hey, at this position we're good. We can kind of rotate a little more. We can focus on the run game here. I think it's going to be a very pick your spots type of game. Probably the next 2 weeks, but definitely this week.
So what should they do? Stefan, should they start revving up the engines this week, or can they afford another week of tinker?
Sorry, I had a cough there. I think we're dealing with the weather changing on Buckeye Talk as we go through it. I was texting someone else on the beat the other day who's also feeling under the weather, and it's like, here's 5 months of just feeling like hell every single day, and then we'll get to the spring, and then allergies will spring upon us, and it'll just get worse. So my apologies if I sound terrible. I think in terms of play calling, I think we're going to see an approach similar to maybe some of those games you mentioned, like against Purdue, where I think we're going to see Ohio State try to keep building its run game, try to get these running backs some more carries. Gillis, as you mentioned, how young these guys are, and try to get them some more carries. But I think we might see results similar to the Minnesota game, because I think this is an opportunity for the run game to maybe be at its best and to really break some explosives against a really bad UCLA rush defense. So it almost feels like we might see the play calling of a conservative approach mixed with the results of an uber aggressive approach, just because of what I think they can do with the running game, right? Like, I think we saw that when Indiana played UCLA, in the second half, similar to when Indiana played Illinois. In the second half, they're kind of just running the ball, but they're breaking big plays. And the score maybe reflects the team, running up the score, but it's, I don't know, what are you going to do when someone broke a 40-yard run when they were just trying to run some clock? But it feels like this is maybe one more test, whether it be right guard, whether it be the running game, the things that Ohio State kind of needs to tinker with. This might feel like one more week to kind of test it before you really rev it up. I feel like it's more likely that we see them rev it up the Rutgers game. And Stephen, I think you had mentioned this to our texters, that it feels like Rutgers might be okay, let's put it all out there and see what works and what doesn't before we go into the Michigan game. Whereas this UCLA game might be one more time to kind of tinker and really narrow it down. Because Ryan even talked on his radio show, and I'm pretty sure he talked about it earlier this week too, of just, they know the 4 running backs are good, right? And they know certain situations where they like CJ Donaldson, where they like this guy, where they like that guy. But now also play calling comes into it, right? What play call works best for this running back? What play call works best for that running back? There's still a lot that I think they're trying to figure out as they go with this running game. This UCLA game feels like one more chance to go through some of that, but then also have some really good results because of how bad this rush defense on the other side is.
And they don't have to do anything out of the ordinary, right? I mean, UCLA is giving up 30.7 points per game. That's second to last in the Big Ten, behind Michigan State, who, as of yesterday, people are hearing this on Friday, as of Wednesday evening, had some wins vacated. It was crazy. The hammer finally hammered. It just wasn't for the team in Michigan that we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, the team up north has to vacate its wins.
Yeah, it finally happened, guys. We finally got there.
They had to vacate, I think, the 21 game, which was the Stallions game, or which was one of the Stallions games, which I just thought was ironic.
I just think it's hilarious that we spent so much time talking about vacated wins in Michigan, and we were talking about the wrong university. But to the point, Ohio State's averaging 36 points a game. UCLA is giving up 30 points a game. And so this is like the epitome of show up, right? And I know it's not always that simple, but sometimes, listen, can you score 2 more field goals to get to your average when your opponent is spotting you 30 points already coming into this game? I think they're going to tinker. And it's fine. And then, in fact, I think it's fine to tinker. I didn't listen to the radio show, Stefan. Did he get asked verbatim about Carnell Tate? Because we did not do it Wednesday evening. But also, when we got in there, the wide receivers were already off of the indoor, which was not on accident, obviously. So did he? Because I know you texted out to our texters that he said they're expecting Quincy Porter back. But did he say anything about Carnell?
No, not. I don't think so.
Okay.
But yeah, I could have sworn I saw Quincy Porter play against Purdue. I guess not. I must have totally. If I mentioned maybe on the Leave No Doubt pod something about Quincy, my apologies. I could have sworn he played, but I guess not.
Somebody wearing 11 played football against Purdue. It might not have been Quincy Porter though. Also, don't remember.
PFF gave him no offensive snaps. So
okay, yeah, that's what I was stalling for.
It was overcast. It's overcast. Things are hard to see, I guess.
Yeah, he was there. He was there because he went through warm-ups, I think.
He was questionable on the injury report, so it's not like he was just out.
Right. I don't think Carnell is going to play. I have no reason to think that this is something serious and long term. If they were playing Michigan this Saturday, he'd be playing. But if you can give him it's like what they did with Donovan Jackson last year, what they did with Tyreek Williams at time last year, where if you can give a guy an extra week of rest, they're going to give him the extra week of rest, especially a guy who's that important, quite frankly, to what they need to do to win a national championship. This is not a depth piece. This is name the 5 reasons why Ohio State wins a national title, and he is on the list of the 5 reasons for why Ohio State wins a national title this year. So I guess let's talk about UCLA a little bit. I went and looked at Nico Iamaleava's scramble yards from last season when he was at Tennessee. He had 47 in the college football playoff game against Ohio State on 9 scrambles. Those were both season highs for him last year. Before the college football playoff, his high for scrambles in a game was 6 against Arkansas, and his high for scramble yards, he did this on 3 scrambles against Alabama. He had 40. So he kind of got after Ohio State in the run game a little bit. Now, granted, that was the only thing he was able to do. So we're not going to sit here and say, hey, Lamar Jackson's Ohio State. It was like he's going to run or they're not going to be able to move the football. And I think, Stefan, this is kind of the only thing that intrigues me about this game is how Ohio State continues to handle running quarterbacks. So is Nico the best running quarterback they have faced so far? Do you think that?
Yeah, Parker Navarro would probably be the next best.
I mean, it depends what you consider Damon Williams, I think.
Right. Damon is just kind of like his own thing, like just in terms of size. Like he's kind of like an outlier. Parker would probably up there, but I don't know if Parker obviously had, G5 talent around him. Not that UCLA is that much better, and frankly, I think Ohio might be able to beat UCLA. Mm-hmm. But Nico is probably, in terms of talent mixed with mobility, he's probably the best guy that they're going to play or have played to this point. I think Bryce Underwood is probably the best that they will play. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting test because we saw him do it for Tennessee last year against Ohio State. That was kind of the only success Tennessee had with their offense was, some scrambles and I think there were some design runs mixed in there when we rewatched the game for the live pod. There was definitely some design runs in there too for Nico. And I think we're going to see a lot of that. And I think that's probably the most important thing that UCLA provides in this game is it gives Ohio State a test for what they're going to see in Ann Arbor.
So Parker Navarro
what's the size differential between Bryce and Nico? I imagine Nico's probably a little taller.
Nico's 205, something like that. I think Bryce Underwood's
6'4", 228.
So Bryce is bigger, but Nico's taller. Okay. So by game, Parker Navarro had 2 scramble yards, by the way. And this is just a rushing yard. Shout out to 11 Warriors for putting this actually together, though. They had this Ohio State against Power 4 rushing. It's Power 4 quarterbacks and their rushing stats against Ohio State this season. Arch Manning, 10 rushes for 38 yards, and 3 of them were for first downs. And he only got sacked once for -1 yard. So that's him running. That's not like you take a lot out for sacks. Damon Williams, who Matt Patricia compared to Kyler Murray earlier this year, 13 rushes, -28 yards. He had a long of 10 yards. He had 2 runs for a first down, but he also got sacked 6 times for -46 yards. So, they got after Damon Williams. Well, actually, they didn't get after Damon Williams. Damon Williams tried to scramble, and
they kept him bottled up.
Yeah, Caden Curry said, "Come give me a hug," and he said, "Okay," 6 times. Drake Lindsey, not much of a scrambler. He got sacked once for -6 yards. You got Luke Altmaier, 6 carries for -20 yards, and he got sacked 4 times. And then you got the Wisconsin quarterback combination of Simmons and O'Neal, because both of those guys played in this game. 5 rushes, 1 went for a first down, but also got sacked 3 times. And then Ethan Grunkemeyer. Well, I thought they would run him a little bit more, given he's a young quarterback. Maybe you just keep it in his hands and let him get into the feel of the game. They really did. He ran it 4 times, and all 4 of them were sacks for -39 yards. And then obviously last week with Purdue with Brown and Singleton, 5 carries for 32 yards, no sacks. So last week and Arch Manning are the only 2 times where a quarterback really kind of broke free on Ohio State. So I guess, Andrew, the question is this, because you mentioned it. They bottled up Damon Williams versus they got after Ethan Grunkemeyer. They got after Drake Lindsey, even if they only got to him once. They got after Luke Altmaier. How should they approach this game? Is this one of those games where, hey, Kenyatta, hey, Arvell, hey, Caden, hey, Edric, go get the QB? Or is this hey, sit back, keep him in there, make him make throws, and sometimes he might get a little antsy, try to run on his own, and then you get a sack out of it?
I think it's that one, the keep him in the pocket. I understand, people will say, oh, well, once you get to a certain point, stars don't matter, and who cares about his talent? Nico's receivers are bad, and I think you want him to throw the ball. I think you want him to have to make plays like that. He's run the ball 96 times this year. He's 474 yards, 4 touchdowns. His completion percentage is 63.7. But none of those receivers on the outside scare me. I know Rico Flores Jr., he was somebody that they thought was going to be pretty decent this year. He's been hurt. He was banged up at the beginning of the year. So, he's somebody to just like monitor. But he doesn't scare me. Quasi Gilmer doesn't scare me. Like, especially as you compare these guys to Ohio State's corners, Jermaine Matthews, Davidson Igbinosun. Like, I'm keeping him in the pocket, and I'm just saying, you know what, you're not going to run on us, and we're going to have spies on you the whole game, and we're going to make you throw it. And I think that is probably the ideal game plan against Michigan. And does have better receivers than UCLA does, I think. They have that freshman Andrew Marsh, who's really, really good. And and certainly they have a running game that you actually have to respect a little bit more. But yeah, I'm keeping him bottled up. I'm keeping him in the pocket. I think you saw this a couple of times with Washington where Damon Williams would see his second read was not there. He would try to scramble and he would just kind of dance around. And then all of a sudden the walls were closing in on him, and the walls just so happened to be named Caden Curry. Caden Curry had a great game that day. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but the reads weren't there. And that's why. And Ohio State's corners were better. And that's what I would try to do here. Like, if you can take away that first or second read, Nico's instincts are going to tell him to run the ball. And I don't think he's going to be able to run the ball if you bottle him in like that. If you just crash and say, go get the quarterback, all of a sudden he breaks contain out of Caden Curry or Kenyatta or whoever, then you open yourself up for, all right, maybe he gets 15 yards on a scramble because dudes have their back turned towards him. It's an Ohio State game that you don't want to start bad habits against Nico 2 weeks before Michigan.
I also just don't think he's good. Like, it's Penn State but like on steroids, right? Like, you'd rather, like, Nico's hasn't proven to be a good thrower of the ball, Stefan, and these weapons are just like not it. Like, their offense is very Nico or bust to the extreme.
Yeah, you make this a passing attack beat you, and if they start putting some things together, then you could adjust. But I think it's very similar to Penn State, where frankly whatever you think of Nico, whether you think he's something close to what he was rated or he's well below what he was rated, there's not a lot of talent at receiver to make plays happen for him, right? Like, I don't think Tom Brady or Peyton Manning would do particularly great in this UCLA offense with these receivers either, right? They'd be better than Nico, but I don't know how great it would be. And because of that, yeah, you trust Jermaine and Davison and, Jalen McClain and Caleb Downs to be able to do enough in the secondary to limit this passing attack. And you tell your defensive lineman, hey, as long as this guy's not scrambling and beating us with his legs, there's not a lot that this offense can do.
Does anybody have any other thoughts on UCLA?
I do. Something Ryan Day brought up on the radio show that I remember from when UCLA played against Indiana, and Cignetti had said something similar. 4 fake punts and an onside kick during this interim tenure. Ohio State, I think, is going to be prepared. Dave pointed out, I think this was the fake punt against Indiana, where UCLA ran a fake punt, even though like Indiana had its defense on the field. Like, if you guys remember, Notre Dame ran a fake punt against Ohio State, and Ohio State had its defense on the field and was very prepared for it. Yeah. Indiana did the same thing against UCLA, and UCLA was like, it's fine, we'll run our fake punt anyways, and it was a disaster. Ohio State's going to be preparing for that, and that's maybe one area where UCLA can challenge Ohio State is in special teams, right? Ohio State has had flaws on special teams. This is a team that's going to try to do some things. We saw Wisconsin run a fake punt against Ohio State, and it kept Ryan Day up for 2 weeks. So this is an area where UCLA can do things like what is the weakest phase for Ohio State? It's special teams by a wide margin. That's an area where UCLA can try to poke some holes, and we'll see if Ohio State's prepared for that. I imagine they will be, but there's still a level of execution that has to happen with a lot of young guys probably getting some special teams reps.
Last week, my game time decision was I just wanted to see no issues with special teams, and they did it. Yep. No special teams problems last week. It's not my game time decision this week, but I want to see it again. You're right. I just want to move past special teams issues. That's all I got.
So I have an interesting stat if you guys want to hear it. Nico Iamaleava has now started as many night games, or will have started as many night games at Ohio State as Will Howard did. And Nico Iamaleava, it's his second night game start at Ohio Stadium. Will Howard had 2. They played Western Michigan. This is only Julian Sayen's third. So this is their third night game of the year. It was Ohio, Minnesota, and now this one. And someone would probably have to check. I saw this earlier. Kyle McCord, I think, had 2 as well. So Nico Iamaleava, night game start. It's like one of those stats where it's like, Ben Roethlisberger's the winningest quarterback in like Cleveland Browns history, or at Cleveland Browns Stadium history or whatever. And Nico, nighttime savant. So maybe next year. Maybe next year he'll be on a new team and he'll start a night game at Ohio Stadium.
I'm looking at Ohio State's schedule next season. I'm not ruling out Nico going to another school and getting another night game at Ohio Stadium. So Illinois, Maryland, Michigan, Northwestern, Oregon. Those are the home games next year.
Where's Nico from originally?
It's California, Southern California.
Right.
That's the reason they are.
Oregon? That's probably a big nooner, but
that won't be big noon because, well, maybe.
It was big noon last time they came here.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure that Dante Moore is going to the NFL. So
I don't think he is either.
Like, I don't know.
I mean, he could also play for Ball State or Kent State next year at Ohio Stadium. One of those might be a
Ball State, Kent State, Illinois, Maryland, Michigan, Northwestern, or Oregon. One of those teams has Nico Iamaleava as a starter.
I'm going to say this right now. Make sure the mic is nice and close so people can hear me. If Nico Iamaleava is a Kent State Golden Flash,
oh my God,
point me to the championship odds for the 2026 season. Go Flashes.
For what championship?
I don't have to specify that information.
There you go.
You won't have money left to put on the odds. You'll be spending that money to get Nico to campus.
Yeah, listen, let me say this for me, too. If Nico decides he wants to go to Ohio University, I might find some dollars in my couch cushions to donate to Ohio's NIL collective.
Ohio's had Curtis Rourke and Parker Navarro come through. Nico would be a step down.
Go Flashes. Go Stallions, man. Beat Massillon. RJ Day is the greatest quarterback in my high school's history. St. Francis de Sales. Beat Massillon, man. And also 247 Sports and On3 and Rivals and all the other recruiting sites. I don't know, man. If a dude throws for 487 yards, I think he deserves to be a 5-star. And this has nothing to do with the fact that I cover his father. This is because he goes to my high school. Like these things are not. I could care less about his father right now. This is about us. His father went to school in New Hampshire. He's not one of us. This is about the Stallions.
Yeah. We'll see how that one goes. They might be in for a rough ride against Massillon, Washington.
No one asked you to put your input on this, Gillis. You're not from here.
I've seen them play. That team's real good.
This is not about you. You're not from here. This is about me and the Stallions right now.
I am not from here.
This is about me and the Stallions. It's about pouring purple. It's about the purple and white. It's about the Stallion pride. Get it done, RJ. Get it done. Get it done.
Shock the world.
It's not going to be no shock in the world. This is the standard. The standard has been raised to 83%. Get it done. Go Stallions. 614-350-3315. We're going to take a break and then come back with our game scores here on Buckeye Talk.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
Ohio State's got 2 home games left on its 2025 regular season schedule, and up first is a game against UCLA, a team that they have not played since the early 2000s. In fact, they've played 9 times ever. Both sides have won 4 games, and they've tied 1 time. And UCLA actually hasn't been to Columbus since 1999. And these are our game scores. I'm Stephen. That's Stefan Krajisnik, and that is Andrew Gillis. Stefan, starting with you. Ohio State favored by 31.5 points, over under 47.5. What's your score?
Sticking with old reliable, Ohio State to cover and the under. I'm going. I actually might have predicted this recently, and it was wrong. I'm taking the Minnesota score again, 42-3. Ohio State wins. I think UCLA will be able to do enough with Nico's mobility to get points on the board, but that's the extent of what I think this offense is going to do. I think Ohio State is going to have success running the ball against a bad rush defense. I think Bo Jackson, Isaiah West, Donaldson, James Peoples are going to have some chances to break some big plays. I also wouldn't be surprised if we saw a defensive touchdown or at least a few takeaways with, Nico and the UCLA offense being prone to having some turnovers. So, keep an eye on the defensive line, forcing fumbles, or the secondary getting some interceptions. But I think Ohio State's kind of going to have its way, right? I think it's going to be a cool environment. I think Ohio State knows, the importance of putting on a show when you do get a November night game, right? That's rare to see at Ohio Stadium, especially with, this team being projected to have a bye. We probably won't see a December home game. So this is kind of the last, night game of the home slate this season, a chance to really put on a show. And I think Ohio State will try to do that. So I think Ohio State cruises, has very little difficulty, and goes into Rutgers week with a lot of momentum. 42-3, Ohio State wins.
42-3. I had 41-3. And I'm just going to retweet everything else you said because that's why. I just think Ohio State might score at will. It doesn't mean they might not kick some field goals in this game. I'm just not picking them to score a bunch of touchdowns in this game. But, Ohio State covers. But the under, which has worked for most of the year, it almost worked last week until the second teamers gave up a random touchdown at the end of this thing. Gillis, are you joining us on the trend? Covering and under.
Ohio State's going to cover, and it's going to go over. 42-7. 42-7. UCLA is going to score a touchdown. I don't mean to be condescending. UCLA is just not that good. I think Ohio State's going to try to play slow, and it's not going to work. And that's going to be because I think they're going to break a run or two. UCLA's run defense is horrible. I truly think they are. I think they're in for a rough ride. Like, I think if you were to start with Ohio State and say, like, all right, baseline minimum, they're gonna score 5 touchdowns this game. It's basically what happens like on their other like 3, give or take, possessions. Whether this goes, I think, to a cover or to an over. I do think UCLA is going to show up. Like we saw this with the Penn State game. I think they're going to show up and try a lot. I think they kicked the onside kick early in that game. I think they're going to try some stuff. Let's put it like that. I think they're going to try to reach into their pocket and just kind of have some fun, frankly. This is going to be officially the game that means they're not bowl eligible. Like, I think they're well aware of what's going to happen. So I look at UCLA as a team that might pull something out of their back pocket. And it's like, okay, UCLA scored. All right, there's 7. And then that's going to be all they get. I think Ohio State, even if, you can look at and say, oh, well, I'm going to go under because they're going to play slow. Well, okay, they might not take a deep shot, but if you're calling run plays or you're calling slant plays and somebody houses one for 70 yards, well, it doesn't matter if you called the deep shot to JJ or if you just ran inside zone to Bo Jackson. It's still a 70-yard touchdown. So Ohio State blows UCLA out. It's 42-7. I do think we go over. I think Ohio State covers once again. They're one of the better covering teams in college football. But I do think we buck the trend a little bit, and I think we go over.
You guys want to hear some standings, some records for where you guys are? How good you guys aren't at this? Cool. Okay, so we'll start with the game records. Stefan and I are 9-0. Gillis is 8-1, and that's because he picked Texas to win week 1. That's not that big of a deal. That was a hit or a miss, right? Records against the spread. Yours truly is 8-1. Let's go. I've been cooking, man. I've been cooking. You two, however, Stefan, you're 7-2. Gillis, you are 6-3. I'm going to be honest with you. Purdue killed you guys last week. That was tough. That was a tough watch for you two. Because it's a lot of it isn't because of your records. It's because of the tokens you guys have been putting up every single week. I actually bet the under last week in a lot of tokens because I just didn't think Ohio State was going to go full throttle. It had nothing to do with Purdue and whether or not they'd cover or not. It was a combination of I'm not sure if Ohio State's going to cover because they might not go full throttle, but also they just might not score a lot of points. So I put like 35 Buckeye Talk tokens and it ended up showing me love. Over under, I'm 5-4. Stefan is 6-3. Gillis is 4-5. Yeah, that's tough. How many tokens we have left? And again, we start with 100 at the beginning of the year. I have 210. Stefan has 142. Gillis.
I've been betting big.
Yeah, you've been going hard.
Big. So you guys picked under last week against Purdue, and I heard that and went, I should probably throw a lot on over.
Yeah, I know. This is what happens. Like, I hope you guys are getting a look into the mind of Gillis as a bettor. He chases. And as he chases, now he's got 76 Buckeye Talk tokens left for the rest of the year, which isn't terrible, right? You're 24 under. So you can make that up this week, but he's going to chase. Because that's what he does. He chases. And sometimes it works out. And sometimes we're on a subway station headed to dinner watching Penn State against Oregon. And it just completely backfires. But that's a story for another day. Get the text 614-350-3315. We might tell that story there. It's a 2-week free trial. $3.99 after that. That will get you through the UCLA game, the Rutgers game, and into Michigan week. We're almost home. The home stretch is almost there. Those are our game scores as Ohio State takes on UCLA this Saturday. For Stefan, Krajisnik, and Andrew Gillis, I'm Stephen Means. Talk to you guys later.